Lin deduced from this. This space has been changed by the forbidden object. The purpose of the instructors doing this is to squeeze these recruits here. And as night falls, Lin also used the story night dancer to turn the nocturnal creatures into his own eyes. Lin has been using the nocturnal creatures to observe his own movements. He found that they had actually been circling in the same place. After hearing what Lin said, Pang Pang immediately expressed his confusion. That's impossible. If we had passed the same place repeatedly, we would have realized it long ago. Then Lin pointed to the surrounding scenery. The scenery around us is fake. We mainly rely on vision to judge the scene. And the instructors took advantage of this. They changed the visual scene of the entire Jinan Mountain through some forbidden objects to mislead us to keep going in circles. This is also the reason why the position of the moon is problematic. Because the sky scenery has also been modified, they may be afraid that some of us will use the star navigation. After hearing this, Cao asked Dao Lin, "Don't you have nocturnal creatures as your spies? Can they help us find the way out?" Lin replied that they could not, because the visual illusion of this still life is constantly changing. Even nocturnal creatures cannot escape being misled. Then even if we know that we are going in circles, it is useless. Still can't get out. Lin denied Pang Pang's statement and said, "Although I can't find the way out directly, I found the location of the static object. We can get out naturally as long as we remove the static object. But I believe the instructors will definitely not make things so simple. Do you want to go together?" Upon hearing this, Cao immediately chose to go with Lin. Although Fatty hesitated for a while, he soon agreed. At the same time, everyone in the instructor's tent was discussing the discovery of the forbidden object. The Poseidon umbrella can not only modify the visual scene of the nearby space, it can also sense the approaching forbidden realms and issue a warning through the umbrella cover. The entire Jinan Mountain area has been cleared now. Only the new recruits can get close to the Poseidon umbrella. The female instructor said that the surveillance near the Poseidon umbrella showed no abnormalities. And we also brought the forbidden items to suppress the forbidden realms this time. No one in the secret passage should be able to get close to it. Suddenly, Yuan Yang interrupted him. Not necessarily. That still life can only suppress the forbidden realms after sequence 40. Don't forget that there are god realms among our new recruits this time. Hearing this, the young instructor's face darkened. "Commander, do you mean Lin?" Yuan Gang said with a serious face, "Release all the backup drones and aim all the electric shock missiles at the direction of the Poseidon umbrella." Journey of Size. It has been there since we were new recruits in training. In more than 20 years, no new recruit has ever come out. I hope this record will not be broken by us. Lin and the other two were amazed to see so many drones. It's just as you said. It seems that they are determined not to let us go out. Just when Lin and Cao were discussing tactics, they suddenly found that Pang Pang was gone. At this moment, Pang Pang took the initiative to expose himself to the vision of many drones. He gave a thumbs up and said yes. If a crisis comes one day, would you rather be a hero for a second or a coward for a lifetime? Lin was a little confused when he heard this. "I don't understand what this means." Suddenly, Fatty yelled at the drone. "Hey, I'm here. Come if you dare." The next second, 4 drones fired electric bombs at him at the same time. He barely jumped to avoid the attack. he said weakly while lying on the ground. "What are you two waiting for? Go! If the three of us leave together, none of us will be able to escape." Seeing that Pang Pang took the initiative to sacrifice, the two of them were a little overwhelmed. Lin came to his senses and immediately pulled Cao away. As soon as Pang Pang was immersed in the handsome lines, he was immediately chased by the drone again. At the same time, the female instructor was observing the situation in real time through the monitor. Sure enough, a figure appeared around the Poseidon umbrella. This should be Lin. The instructor behind him said that the fat guy was just trying to divert the drone and give Lin a chance to approach the Poseidon umbrella. But he certainly didn't expect that we were prepared. With his orders, all the electric missiles were heading towards the direction of the Poseidon parachute. Looking at hundreds of missiles coming towards him from the sky, the figure couldn't help but utter a curse word fuck. Then he instantly fell beside the Poseidon umbrella. The female instructor breathed a sigh of relief when she saw this, reported to the superior that Lin had been hit and lost his ability to move. She suddenly discovered something in the middle of her words. Wait, something seems to have happened. The Poseidon umbrella has failed. Yes, this is not Lin, but Cao Yuan. Yuan Gang glanced at his pocket watch and said, "We've been tricked. But it's only half an hour away from midnight. There's no way Lin can get to the exit in this half hour." As soon as midnight comes, this sighing journey will come to an end. The record of no one leaving the mountain within the time frame remains. Cao Yuan, who had lost his ability to move, smiled with relief. "The rest is up to you." Lin smiled at the moon that had returned to normal like him. "Cao Yuan, fatty, thank you." It turns out that all this was their plan. 15 minutes ago, Cao suggested that he go alone to remove the forbidden items, to ensure that Lin can get out of here, because he determined that the instructors would set up strict defenses around the forbidden objects. At this time, Yuan Gang was announcing on the radio that the training would end in half an hour. You know, if you take the mountain road, there is no way Lin can get out of the mountain in half an hour. The only possibility is to climb over the cliff in front of you. Lin immediately urged the Starry Night dancers to start rock climbing without hesitation. Finally, at 23:59, Lin appeared at the exit. He stood up and saluted, reporting, "New recruit Lin arrives at the exit to complete the training mission." Yuan Gang couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Good boy, welcome to the end. Lin, you created a miracle. This is just an ordinary steamed bun, but it makes Pang Pang, the second-generation rich man, cry. Because this is the best meal he has had in the past 6 months. He can eat this basket of buns thanks to Lin for completing the task." At this time, everyone in the cafeteria was discussing Lin. Said he is worthy of being the agent of God. He is the only person who has completed the journey of size in the past 20 years. And Shen Qingju on the side was unhappy that the limelight was snatched away by that boy again. Hearing everyone's discussion, Cao Yuan also learned to praise. "Lin, you are the first person to complete the project in decades. You really gave us heretics a chance to win face." Pang Pang was puzzled when he heard this. Who else could it be besides you two? As soon as he finished speaking, Lin and Cao looked at Pang Pang as if he were a fool. Pang Pang subconsciously wanted to say that he was just a child from an ordinary family, but he was stopped by the two of them in unison. Hong Hao found Lin right after dinner. Wang Mayan told us that he promised to give you benefits at that time. You really didn't tell anyone about the broken mask. Now it's time for us to fulfill our promise. The password of the 500,000 yuan bank card on the left is 68 South. The box on the right contains a forbidden item. After saying that, Hong Hao couldn't help but joked. You are really suspicious, kid. After all, there aren't many people who can get something for nothing from the leader. Hearing this, Lin asked in surprise, "Did Instructor Yuan come up with all this?" Hong Hao nodded. Yes, it was the leader's idea to let the mask team come. I didn't expect you to be able to split the mask. So the leader took the responsibility and put together these conditions for you. We wanted to help him, but he refused. Lin pushed the bank card back and said, "Forget it." Seeing this, Hong Hao explained that you don't have to do this. The leader is the deputy captain of the night watch team stationed in Shangjing City. He also holds a high-level position. Do you think he needs the 500,000 yuan? Lin said calmly that I never accept money from soldiers. Hearing this, Hong Hao prepared to take back the box without leaving any trace. Good boy, I was right about you. Lin was embarrassed and shook hands. But the other hands of the two were grabbing the box on the table. Finally, Lin took out the forbidden items from the box. Hong Hao introduced him to Lin as the Azure Star. It is always open within a 1-meter range. The Azure Guardian of Forbidden Zone Sequence 278 can resist most mental attacks. Hearing this, Lin was overjoyed. Neither of his two divine ruins had spiritual abilities. And his abilities are all about attacking, not defending. This could just make up for his shortcomings in mental defense. When Yuan learned that Lin said that he didn't want the military money. He also said the same thing with Hong Hao with relief. At this time, Hong Hao curiously asked why he gave Lin such a precious opportunity. Yuan Gang explained that even if Wang Mayan did not reach an agreement with him, I'll also find a way to give him the Azure Heart. Old Hong, you don't understand. The wind is about to blow, and the eye of the wind is on Lin. At this moment, Li Yifei is muttering in the mental hospital. Nix, don't always eat with your hands. Nix said with tears in her eyes that she didn't know how to use chopsticks at all. Li patiently taught again. Suddenly, Nixon grabbed Li Yifei's hand and asked, "When will your dad come back, grandson?" It's been a long time since he came home. Has he gotten into trouble again? Just when Li was at a loss, Lin appeared in a white coat. He greeted Nix happily, "Mom, I'm back." Nix was overjoyed. "My child, you finally came back for dinner." But Li started to cry. "You still remember to come back. Do you know how hard it is for me to be alone?" Nixon saw Li crying, and she immediately started to educate Li. And when Lin saw Nix's treatment progress, he was very surprised. Remember that Nix's treatment progress was just over 20% last time? How come it's 48% all of a sudden? So he quietly asked Li Yifei what she had done to Nixing during this period of time. Li said it was just a normal life. He just coaxed her by acting like a grandson every day. Lin understood after hearing this. For Nix, family life with someone around is the best treatment. Then he gave Li a thumbs up. You are really a genius in treating diseases. During the meal, Lin looked at the meal made by Lee and fell into deep thoughts. Where did these ingredients come from? Lee said that the vegetables and rice were all grown by him on the wasteland he reclaimed. As for the fish, they were all caught in the pond in the yard, Lin thought while eating. Turning Li Yifei into a caregiver was really the right choice. At this time, Nix was frantically adding more food to Lin. Lin couldn't refuse either. But as he was eating, he found that Nix's treatment progress had increased to 49%. Lin was stunned by this. Can eating alone make progress? So he happily accepted Nix's feeding next time. But in the end, Lin ate so much that he is becoming a pear shape. But he found that Nix's treatment progress was still stuck at 49. In doubt, Lin suddenly looked at Lee next to him. Lee, show your amusement talent to Grandma. Lee could only helplessly perform a backflip. But he didn't expect to hurt his waist halfway through the flip. Nix was very happy to see this. It's been a long time since our family was so lively. She became sad again. You kids have gone further than the last one after growing up. I have so many children, but in the end, I am the only one left. Hearing this, Lin and Lee hurried to comfort him. At least you have us now, right? Yes, we will not leave. I don't know if it was affected by the choose words. Nix's treatment progresses suddenly at 51%. At the same time, Lin received a reminder to randomly draw Nix's divine power. The boy was just bored and took his mother out for a walk, but it caused Aisa to be on alert. The military even sent several aircraft carrier formations, too. All this is because the boy's mother is a god that everyone fears. Just now, Nix's treatment progress exceeded 50%. Lin began to extract Nix's divine power. As the roulette wheel turned, Lin didn't dare to blink. He was afraid of drawing the extraordinary reputation. But in the end, the pointer still stopped at the dark erosion column. Suddenly, a mysterious force appeared and enveloped him. The darkness corrodes everything around it with the most primitive darkness. Any object or creature covered by the darkness is under its control. And the range and control strength of the darkness ruins will increase with the growth of its own mental power. Lin was very excited to see the explanation. It was really a big win. This should be the core divine ability of the goddess of night. And at this moment, the system reminded him that Nix's treatment progress exceeded 50%. You can take Nix to leave the god's mental hospital for a short period of time. After Lin woke up, he kept thinking about what he had just said. Does this mean that Nix can come to reality? Then he avoided surveillance and came to the dormitory rooftop. He wanted to get familiar with the effects of the dark god void first. He stood there with his eyes closed. The next moment, waves of dark energy spread from him to all directions. Soon everything around was gradually covered by this blackness. He moved with his mind. Then he saw a piece of stone split from the wall and let him control it. But he could clearly feel that. Because his realm was too low, his control over the objects in the god realms was very limited. So he could only perform simple cuttings and movements. But with this god realms, the story night dancer can be triggered regardless of day or night. It's a pity that his mental strength is still too weak. He can only maintain this divine ruins for 2 minutes. At this time, he remembered that he had asked Nix to leave the mental hospital for a short period of time. Then he returned to the mental hospital again. Lin asked Nix with a wry smile if he wanted to go out for a walk. Nix smiled and said that as long as you want me to accompany you, I am willing to go. After Nix agreed, Lin returned to reality. And Nix also floated behind him and asked, "Donati, is this your kingdom of God?" Lin smiled and replied, "This is not the kingdom of God. This is the real world." Nix pointed at the bright city in confusion. "But this is clearly the kingdom of God." Lin continued to explain. "That is the light lit by human technology. The world now is probably completely different from the world in my mother's memory. It's a pity that I can't leave this training camp yet. Otherwise, I can take you around. There are many interesting things in the modern world." Hearing Lin's words, Nixing smiled faintly. "Although I don't understand what you are saying, but as long as we are under this night sky, I can take you anywhere." Lin was about to say something when Nix took his hand and said to imagine where you are going in your heart. "I can take you there even with the night sky flashes." At the same time, the flock of jet fighters patrolling in the sky suddenly sounded an alarm and responded immediately. The power of the gods was detected at 118 degrees 24 minutes east longitude and 35 degrees 7 minutes north latitude. At this moment, the operator in an office somewhere finished the analysis. Report to the superior that the concentration of the divine power fluctuation is 4.7. Confirmed that it is the true God who appeared. The location belongs to the city of Kangnan. When Xiaoping heard that it was Kangnan City, he was filled with thoughts. The gods appeared directly in the world and happened to be in that city. What on earth do these gods want to do? Then he ordered a Filaria alarm. Immediately contact the military to transfer the 2 aircraft carrier formations in the nearby waters to Kangnan. Also report to the commander-in-chief to see if he can transfer 1 person. The ceiling is like past. The operator was obviously surprised when he heard the last sentence. At this time, a large bowl suddenly broke in the Lin family. Auntie pessimistically said to herself, "I'm really old now. How can I not even wash a bowl?" At this time, Yang Jing heard the sound and came over.